First up, I want to thank Lavender Pants 86 for sending us such amazing knives and always supporting our channel and being such an awesome guy. Thank you, brother. Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife, CARHARTT, is at work. And today we are checking out the QSP Worker. And since this knife holds the name The Worker, I had to do just that. I put it to work, and yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with this knife. Now, in another video, CARHARTT asked me on a live stream, what knife do I like the least? Or she actually probably used it in different terms, but basically, which knife do I not like out of all the knives I have borrowed right now? And I said this one, and I had to, say that, it's not that I don't like it, because I do like it. It's just out of all of them, that would be the least. But I will say, after bringing it to work and really getting to use it, I like this thing. I like this thing quite a bit. Now, I'm going to show a clip of just a little bit of something I did with it. Now, I did way more than that with it. I actually couldn't even keep using it because I didn't want to do more damage than what stropping or honing would do. And I did and didn't. Like, I had to hone it because stropping it wouldn't bring it back. I honed it, fixed it right up. The edge looks really good now. I didn't sharpen it, I just honed it. So, the edge is back to true. And yeah, it's got a really good blade shape for utility cuts and for push cuts, and it's got pretty good blade geometry for working. And another thing is it's kind of just neutral. We'll get into all that in just a second, because we're going to get into the good and the bad of this knife. Let's hurry up and do some specs really quick. So this knife is 7 3/4 total length with a 3.5 inch blade. So great size. Here it is next to the Benchmade bug out, which you can see it is a little bit longer than the bug out. Here it is next to, let's do the Rat 1. A lot of people know the Rat 1, and you see it's smaller than the Rat 1, obviously. I think the Benchmade 940-1 might be a good size. It's pretty close. So, yeah. About a 940 size. Benchmade 940. Now, the width it's kind of slim. you know, not too slim, but it's nice and slim in a good way, and it's got a good depth to it for good ergos to get a good grip on it. Sorry about my hands. Let me get my stuff. Hopefully it's all better. All right, so it's got a good depth to it that in this dimension that gives you good ergos and good placement. Another thing that I really like about it is that a lot of backlocks, I notice that when you put tension back and forth right here, you can actually force a little bit of play. And this one is like, there's none. Like, I mean, it is very locked up. I mean, it's locked up so strong, yet it is very smooth. The smoothness is so smooth. Like, you see me in the beginning. Right now, it's going to be a little hard to just lotion my hands up. But I can actually, middle finger flick this knife when my hands aren't lotioned. And now, I'm going to get mad at myself. But it's very, very smooth. And then also, for its smoothness, man, it's locked up really strong. I like that. I like that it feels like I can actually put some work on this thing and it's not going to break or fall apart. Backlocks are known for being strong, but this is, you know, it's got that little bit level of strength that I don't feel as strong on some backlocks. Some backlocks, like I said, you give it a little, you know, movement and you'll feel the backlock moving just a little bit. Now, the fit and finish looks amazing. You can see how close and tight it is up there. Now, not as much back here, but it's still, you know, this is a separate part, so you can imagine it's going to have to, you know, have separation lines, but it's very close. And even back here, all this is nicely, tightly fit. I really like it. I like the quality of the G10. Good G10 here. It's not like rough or grippy. You know, it's pretty slick for a work knife. You know, especially with the name Worker, I would expect it maybe to be a little rougher, but it's not a big deal. I mean, because the type of work you're going to be doing with this, I imagine you just hang on to it, right? And it's not that big of a deal. Excuse me. Now, this blade steel is N690, which is, you know, it's got decent edge retention. Not the best, but it's got okay edge retention. It's easy to sharpen, and it strops back usually pretty good. Like I said, I had to hone it, but it also is very stain resistant. It's a little more stain resistant than a lot of steels. Now, the blade shape. This, it's not quite, it's, I guess, a sheep's foot. I guess I'll call it a sheep's foot. Yeah, it's a sheep's foot blade shape. Nice and flat right here. No recurve, which is really nice. I like that. Decent sharpening choil. Could be a little bit better, but an okay sharpening choil. Let's say that. Now, let's go to the action right now. Now, it does have this nail nick. I think it's just for looks because you don't need to stick your nail in there to get it out. I mean, it's pretty easy to just grab it anywhere and get it out. Like I said, it's very smooth. There we go. There's it. There it is. So you can middle finger flick this if your hands aren't lotioned, and if you get enough leverage. All you got to do is run your finger on the side right here. Make sure it has a little grip. You're not using the front of your finger, you're using the side like this. And give it a little tiny bit of wrist. Now, to close it, you can close it one-handed, but you want to be careful. And you have to have, you know, a little bit larger hands. Don't do it if you have small hands, because you have to be able to get the back lock down here and put your finger up here. And if you do that, you'll be able to catch it and smack it down. And that's basically the way I've been doing it. You can also slow roll it like that, but just like that, and then And since I can do it one-handed, that's another reason why I like this so much. Now, you know, you don't have to. You can just do it two-handed. Go to work and close it back up. It does have a cool sound, too. I like. Nice snap and a nice little pop closing. Like the acoustics, it is kind of centered. It's almost centered. I mean, it's pretty doggone close. We'll call it centered. Now the clip works fantastic. The screws are very minimal. I never had no issues with them. In order to take this side off, though, I think you have to take the clip off. I'm not positive on that. And then you see the old little lanyard tube for, you know, the guys out there that like lanyards. And this wouldn't be a bad knife, I don't think, to have a lanyard on. I don't know, maybe I wouldn't put one on there, but you know, that's me. But for you lanyard guys, hey, you got a lanyard hole, there you go. All right, so let's get to some bad things. Oh wait, no, let me go back to the blade geometry. So cutting through stuff worked really well. It cuts through stuff pretty doggone good, and this tip is nice and fine to where you can pierce really good like this. And I had to cut open a ton of boxes today, and I mostly used another knife because I did have to do some serious work, you know, repeated cuts over and over, and I did not want to destroy this thing. But what I did use it for breaking down some cardboard and opening up some boxes, and then I had to take this this film stuff off of like 2,000 bottles. I didn't use this for that, but I did use it a couple times just to see how it worked, and it works great. Like I said, I really do like this thing in the way it performs. Like I said, this blade, it's nice and thin. Let's measure the thickness. It's about 15 thousandths behind the edge right here, and then the blade stock isn't crazy thin or thick. It's not crazy thick, so it drops down pretty good, and it cuts really good. So you can feel the tension on the lock bar. It popping. That means it's locked up really strong. Like you can kind of hear it. It's not lock stick. It's just, you know, it's tightly fit in there. Now, the bad things. Let's get to the bad. The bad. What everybody wants to know. What is so bad about this thing? Well, one thing, it does use T6s. I don't like T6s. Number two, if you look at the lanyard tube, you can see you see like the tooling marks, you know, and usually that happens more on micarta and carbon fiber, but this is G10, and you can see the tooling marks. Next thing, the clip looks cheap. It looks very cheap. Now, let me just say this. They do sell a leather slip for this. So you can take the clip off, and you can take the clip off and throw the blade, throw the knife in there and carry it on your hip or in your pocket. Or you can leave the clip on and still slip it in the slip and carry it on your hip or in your pocket. But the clip itself, I think they could have used a different clip and it would look so much better. So much better. I don't know what, but something else. Like even if they threw like, you know, say a clip like this on there, it would look better. Anything but this cheap looking clip. It just, I don't know. It's not an expensive knife, but let me just say the clip works good. I'm not talking about the way it performs or the way it carries. I'm being very nitpicky on just the way it looks. Next thing, and this is really nitpicky, but watch the little gap right there. I can kind of close it up. Not that big a deal, but for the most part, I mean, this thing's fit and finish is really well done. I mean, this is all one seam. Everything's like pretty tight, but that one little tiny spot, and I can close it by squeezing it for the most part. Not that big of a deal. Last thing, you know, I respect putting a sharpening notch in. I'm happy about that. I'm just not happy with how tiny it is. I wish it was just a little bit farther, like, I don't know, a little bit bigger, maybe a little deeper. It's so tiny that you're only going to get a couple sharpenings on that thing, and then guess what? You're going to be hitting the plunge grind. I don't know. I feel like for a work knife, this is called the worker, right? The worker. You should have a damn good sharpening choil on there. I mean, I don't think it has to be something quite that big, but you could do something like this maybe. You know, something to where you're going to get more sharpenings out of it, and it's going to, you know, last a little bit longer. But other than that, I mean, and that's very small things. All these are small things. This is a good knife. I just want to say it. This is a great knife. I like this knife a lot. I love that I can do it one-handed. It's actually kind of fun to play with. And, yeah, and I can middle finger flick it, especially really good. I don't fail it at all when my hands aren't freshly bloody knuckled. Not sponsored. All right, guys. I love you guys. Thank you, Lavender Pants. We love you, brother. Love all of you. Peace.